Welcome to DIY Filmmaking 200. This is Chroma Key 2. I'm going to show you a new feature in the Chroma Key, and we're going to do an assignment I like to do, which I call I Am the Real John. What I do is I film myself in front of the green screen coming in, sitting down. I'm just here to let you know that I, in fact, am the real John. There's no other John except for me, so I am, in fact, the real. And I tell you that I am the real John. Then I sit and wait for about 60 seconds, and then I get up and come into the frame again, sit down and say it again. I don't know what this guy is talking about, but I am the real John, and there's no other John but me. I, in fact, am the real John. This guy, I don't know what he's doing, but I am the real John. I do this 4 times, and I'm going to cut all 4 of these together, and in the end, I'll be able to patch them up, and you'll see 4 versions of me coming into the frame in sequence, each one declaring that he is the real John. I'm going to drag this down, and I also have this image of the beach that I'm going to use as my background, so I'm going to drag that down as well. And I'm going to right click on I Am the Real John, create new timeline called I Am the Real John. For some reason it didn't like that, so we'll do it again. I just tried it again and that seemed to work. Oh, it doesn't like that timeline name. Well, I'll have to leave it as timeline 8 for now. It's being grumpy. Lots of bugs. Got to figure your way around them. Here I've opened it up in the edit page. I'm going to bring this clip up to video 2, and I'm going to bring my beach image down into video 1. And then I'm going to zoom in on the beach image and stretch it out so that it stretches all the way across the frame. If you haven't noticed, you have to zoom in to do that, because otherwise it doesn't give you access to the double bars that you need. And then I'm going to select the I Am the Real John clip again, and we're going to go over here to the color page. When you open up your color page, you're going to have your curves open, unless you still have your qualifier open from last time. The qualifier we were using last time was the hue, saturation, luminance qualifier. You can see these 4 little marks up here at the top, 4 little circles. Each of these is a different type of qualifier. But the newest qualifier they've added is the one on the far right, and it's called the 3D qualifier. Now, do not ask me why it's the 3D qualifier. I do not know. There's nothing very 3D about it, but it's the newest and the fanciest. Just like we did before, we're going to find a part of the frame where we are visible in it, and we're going to grab our picker. But instead of just single picking, we are going to left click and drag. And when we do that, we're going to get this nice little blue line. Anything within this blue line is going to be picked. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw just like we've got crayon, and we're filling in all the areas. We're going to fill in all the parts. And this means it's going to pick up all the different areas of green, all the different colors of green, all the different types of green, and it's going to do a much better job of selecting that green and making it disappear. So I want you to draw a shape that looks just like this. Gets all the parts of it. And then just like before, I'm going to go in here around the neck and make some marks, because this darker shadow here it struggles with. There we go. Now we've got our qualifier up here in our node. You can see it's already selected it out. I'm going to right click in the empty space and go to Add Alpha Output. Makes our little blue circle. I'm going to connect the blue square to the blue circle. That's going to reverse remove our image. So I go down here to the right, to the selection range, to the invert, and select that. And then it has inverted it just as it did before. It looks pretty much the same. The only tool that it's added is this other thing. If we look here in the dead center, there's a thing called despill. Now if you look around the edges of the image where the matte has just cut out, you can see a little bit of green visible there. That is the green that's spilling onto us because the light is bouncing off of the background and it's bouncing green light onto us. And it's a sign of a really bad mat if you see that green spill. If you click on despill, it just takes that out. It does a wonderful job of removing the green. The other issue we have here is when I get up, I'm going to go to one of the areas where I get up, the exposure on the image changes a little bit and we get this real nasty mess up here. The thing I've found that works well is in the selection range under Matte Finesse, there's your 1 and your 2, and there's something called your black clip. When I crank up the black clip, it makes these disappear. I'm going to crank it up until they're all gone. I think I've got to go up to around 55. And that does a really good job of making all of those disappear. So that's going to do a really nice key on all of our images. There's one other feature that we're going to need to add, and I'm going to show that to you over here. We're going to go back to our edit page, and I'm going to grab my zoom and shrink myself down. And when I do that, you can see what it's doing is it's actually clipping out everything that is outside of the frame. So if I bring this back to 0, it's made it completely disappear. Oh, I see. I shouldn't do 0. I should do 1. If I bring this back to 1, you can see it's not clipping out the frame, but there's nothing visible. As I shrink myself down, it's making everything that's outside of the frame invisible. The way to fix that is back in our color page with another tool that we'll be using throughout this. It's right next to our qualifier, and it's a little circle. It's called the window, or actually in reality the power window. We've got a circle, a line that we can draw, but we're going to use the top one, the square. And as soon as I select that square, you can see all of my image comes back into place. Only it's cropped out everything outside of the square. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull this square up and down and across. Just to where that black frame is. Now what we've done is we've reverse cropped out everything that was in the frame. I'm going to come in just a little bit because I want to make sure that I don't get any lines where the frame is. Also notice if you click on the red instead of the black, what that is that's a fade. We want to make sure that's as small as possible. What we're really clicking on is the green circle, not the red circle. And if you do this, you will get a very nice key. Once I've done that, I can go back to my edit page. Oops, I still have a little line there. Make sure I bring my bottom up just a hair. Okay, go back to my edit page. And now I can use my position tool. My Y is going to bring myself down, and I'll be able to position all of these frames. Now I have 4 versions of myself here, so I'm going to trim this clip up so that all 4 of those are next to each other instead of, like they are right now, on top of each other. I'm going to go to just where I leave the frame here. You can see I'm coming in. I'm going to go just where I'm out of the frame. Make sure my clip is selected, Control B. Select the part I want to delete, hit delete, it will ripple delete that. And as I scroll over, I come into the frame, sit down, speak, and then I'm going to want to go to the portion where I go out of the frame again. There we go. Cut myself right before I get up. Select the clip, Control B. Go over to the part where I leave the frame, select it again, Control B, and delete to ripple delete that down. And here's my next section of coming into the frame. Hello, I sit down, I speak. And I'm going to want to go to the part where I get up and leave again. There we go. right before I leave, select it, Control B, make sure the part where I'm leaving the frame is gone, select the next clip, Control B, and delete to ripple delete that. And I'm just going to keep doing that. Here I am, coming into the frame, speaking, and I get up and I leave from the other direction this time. Select it, Control B, and there I'm out of the frame, select it, Control B, and delete to ripple delete. And for the last part, I just have to get where I get up and turn the camera off, which that happens right there. It's right at the end. Select my clip and select the end and delete. I'm going to zoom out, and I should have 4 clips here. You can do 2 or 3, but I did 4 because I thought it would be fun to challenge myself. And I'm going to stack these clips on top of each other. So I'm going to grab the second one, shift it up to video 3, stack it over, grab the third one, go to video 4, slide it over, grab the fourth one, bring it up to video 5, and slide it over. Now I will not be able to play these through and position them properly. It's just not going to happen. There's too much going on. But as I scroll down, I can see I've got the waveform of myself speaking. And I'm going to use that to line the clips. So I'm going to line these waveforms up so when I stop speaking on the first clip, I'm going to start speaking on the second clip. And I'm going to talk over myself just a hair because I think it'll sound funnier. So even though I am not actually playing these clips through, I can tell where things are going to happen just by looking at the waveform. It's a nice trick. I'm going to clip this at the shortest clip. So I'm going to select whichever one's the shortest clip, which is the first. Select them all. Control B and delete. It's mostly ripple deleted that. And I'm going to go to the shortest clip on the other end. Go to the end. Make sure they're all selected and Control B and delete the end clips. Drag this down to make sure they work. That looks good. I still left this line up here, but I don't really care. Now I'm going to go to the end where all 4 of me are visible, and I'm going to use my Y position. No, I guess it's not my Y position, my X position, to position myself in the frame so that there are 4 of me visible. Last thing I do, it looks like I need to zoom in on my picture a little bit because I've got those black bars. There we go. And I'll just adjust these a hair so they're nice and pretty. And I can't play through this, but I can at least see that it looks pretty good. I'm going to go to my delivery page, and I'm going to select H.264 preset. I like to use an outputs folder. So in my DIY filmmaking, I've made a folder called outputs. And I'm going to title this Am the Real John. And as you can see, these output presets are pretty good. The only thing I want to check is under quality where it says best. Best is very large. I like to restrict it to 2,000 kilobytes per second. We'll use best for some stuff, but for now, restricting it quite a bit will give us a much smaller file size, easier to work with. Under audio, it's still AAC, which is good, and we've got export audio selected. I'm going to add it to the render queue, and I will not hit render because it'll crash my system, but we'll be able to render this when it is done. So that is I Am the Real John or I Am the Real Jack for DIY Filmmaking 200. Good luck. Should be fun.